At number 10, we have Billy Ray Cyrus. After Miley Cyrus would break digital ties with her father, Billy Ray Cyrus, some dark secrets would start to be released and we would be left feeling confused trying to figure out what actually went down. To get you all up to speed, Billy decided to divorce Miley's mom for a younger woman. Miley would ultimately disapprove of her father's decision and would go on to unfollow him on Instagram and cut him out of her life completely. The situation would later escalate when it was revealed that Billy is now a singer fire roast. Sources have also said that the two met and have been close, and they've been waiting for her to reach an older age before making the relationship an actual thing. Now, the words Miley would have with her father over the whole situation have both not eager to make amends, and it's honestly really disturbing to see Billy's true colors come out. It's sad to see this once close duo break ties, as a father's bond with their daughter is always one that can't be undone, but with Miley believing that her mom was the only one always there for her, I don't think we'll see Billy and Miley make up anytime soon. At number 9, Amber Heard. After facing humiliation in a courtroom and having her lies finally exposed, it's clear Amber Heard is just one actor we should leave behind in 2022, because she should never be an actor again. Now, Amber's career in Hollywood wasn't really strong because other than her role in Aquaman, she's never really been a hot ticket, and it's clear that Johnny was the one who made her truly interesting. When a jury found in favor of Depp like they should have from the beginning, Amber's name would be tarnished, and with it, we would all judge everything she's ever said or done. Amber came out to ruin an innocent man's career, and as soon as the trial started, the whole world would have seemed to turn on Amber Heard. Her Believe All Women story was heartbreaking and disturbing, as all she's ever done was burn bridges and tell lies in an attempt to gain more fame, and she's become someone that we can't even believe rose to stardom in the first place. I really hope during her break from Hollywood she can focus and reflect on what she's done, and that she'll come out with a proper apology for Johnny, as she ruined his career, and to see Johnny fall the way he did was truly saddening. At number 8, Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller is a pretty controversial figure that doesn't really deserve his superhero status any longer. Coming off of disastrous business quarter, Warner Brothers still has to make up their minds about what to do with The Flash and Ezra Miller going forward due to his ongoing publicity scandals. More than half of America believes that Ezra should be cancelled and that The Flash should be reshot with a different actor. With felony and other charges coming to light, people believe that if Ezra stays in the spotlight anymore, his behavior is only going to get worse, and more scandals and crimes will soon start to arise. Warner Brothers should act fast and remove the actor from the project, whether that be from promotional material or credits, or at least condemn their actions and flag them in the future. Ezra keeps lashing out, and it's an actor we just need to forget about as soon as possible. At number 7, Matthew Morrison. Not only should Matthew Morrison be dancing alone after being fired from So You Think You Can Dance, but he should also be forgotten in 2022 after he failed to comply with competition production protocols that prevented him from being able to judge the competition fairly. Matthew would be fired for his pretty odd behavior. Matthew would end up getting himself axed off the Fox's reality competition show after he had an inappropriate relationship with one of the female contestants. Later would be revealed that the two never met up offset, but he had been sending her some direct messages on social media that definitely crossed the line. The dancer would then reveal that she felt uncomfortable with his line of comments, and then she took it all to the producers. When Fox finally got involved, Matthew would be fired after they conducted their own investigation. Now, a lot of us were shocked Matthew would do such a thing, as the Glee star had 2 children and a wife. Matthew was this perfect wife guy, or so we thought, and then we found out he betrayed her in such an unflattering way, and it was truly disturbing. At number 6, Fred Savage. When it comes to actors doing some pretty questionable things, actor and director Fred Savage shocked us all this year when misconduct accusations leveled against him started to arise. The accusations would then soon cost him his executive producer and directing job on the current ABC reboot of coming-of-age TV comedy. When a 46-year-old woman came forward to accuse Fred of misconduct earlier this year, we would all come to know that Fred had a dark alter ego, and it would also be exposed that he had some pretty strange relationships with women that were much younger than him working on the crew, as he would give them gifts and would have them stay in his Atlanta home. While in the home, Fred would go on to belittle them and make them feel worthless. After one woman finally was able to get away from the set, he would continue to text and call her for weeks, and she would later sell one of the voice messages to the paper. Now, I think I should point out that it's also been said that Fred never once acted this way in front of the producers and the actors on the set. However, he would show his darker side to some of the below-the-line employees who felt like they were powerless. And number 5, Will Smith. Will Smith definitely shocked fans and viewers when he walked onto the stage and had a huge altercation with Chris Rock during the 2022 Academy Awards. And now, Will has even gone on to blame Chris Rock for his bottled rage that was unleashed. Will would go on to say during an interview on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah that he was going through something that night. And that didn't justify his behavior, but Chris's behavior caused him to just lose it. Will has also gone on to say that he learned from the incident when he said, "What I would say is that you never know what somebody's going through. I understand how shocking that was for people. I was gone. That was rage that had been bottled up for a really long time. That was a horrific night, as you can imagine." Now, that night was definitely an embarrassing moment for both actors, and I think Will needs a much needed break from Hollywood, and that's why he made this list today. Number 4, Kevin Spacey. For more than 3 decades, it seems like Kevin Spacey could do nothing wrong. From his first start in 1986 on Broadway to his 5th season on The House of Cards, Kevin Spacey was at the height of his career when his actions would cause him to fall from grace. Kevin would become a disgraced actor, devastating news of his actions would surface, and he would then head to his Twitter the next day to say he was beyond horrified by the stories that were released about him, and that he tried to claim he couldn't remember a single thing about the alleged incidents. He would also try to apologize by blaming his behavior on being under the influence. The same day, Kevin's longtime talent agency would sever ties with him, and even Netflix would end their relationship with the star. And just like them, we should forget Kevin. After being dropped, Kevin would also enter into some court cases after the allegations that arose against him. On October 7, 2022, Anthony Rapp would testify against Kevin, and he would say he was frozen and felt powerless as he didn't know what to do. At the time of the incident, Anthony was only 14, and this wouldn't be the first person to come forward, as the trial's first witness, Andrew Holtzman, would claim Kevin made similar moves on him during the summer of 1981. Number 3, Jennifer Lawrence. It's no lie when I say everyone seems to be sick of Jennifer Lawrence and her very odd behavior lately. It's no doubt in 2022, she became pretty invisible, and it should honestly probably stay that way so she won't risk doing any more controversial things. While the star has tried to blame her exit from Hollywood on the fact that she just felt like an imposter and that everyone was fake and that she felt like people were sick of her, that definitely wasn't actually the case. We were more actually just against the star for doing things that made us all shake our heads, like the time she caused sacred rocks to fall in Hawaii because she thought it'd be a good idea to scratch her behind on him. Not only would she cause locals to think a curse was finally released, but she would also proceed to make jokes about the incident that just weren't right. Jennifer has given us some pretty poor performances, such as her role in the movie Mother. However, her poor attitude and over-the-top persona is why we should forget about her in 2022. Number 2, Sam Elliott. In March of 2022, Sam Elliott would slam the film The Power of the Dog in Marc Maron's podcast. He would go on to say the film wasn't good and he was upset with the illusions it showed of the LGBTQ community. Sam would go on to say the characters wore bow ties and not much else. In addition, he went on to say that Jane Champion was a woman who knew nothing about the American West. Jane would then clap back by saying Sam wasn't a cowboy and he was actually just an actor. Now, after facing much backlash, Sam would then apologize for what he said on the WTF podcast, and he would acknowledge that he said some things that definitely hurt people and that he felt terrible. Sam would go on to say, the gay community has been incredible to me in my career, and I mean my entire career from before I got started in this town. I'm sorry I hurt any of those friends and someone that I love and anyone else with the words I used. But was his apology even enough? And number 1, Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg found herself suspended from the ABC's The View after comments made in January 2022. When she came out to apologize by saying she would take the time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments, all of us couldn't even stand by the star any longer, especially when she tweeted a recap about what she said, trying to justify her actions. She would then try to rebuttal her statements, but at that point she already damaged her career. Now, Whoopi has been known to make some pretty controversial comments over the year, like the time she came for Bella Thorne about the photos she released so a hacker wouldn't get the best of her. Whoopi's comments have been out of control for years now, and it's actually pretty surprising it only took her this long to be cancelled. With Whoopi having such a powerful career in Hollywood as a woman who came from nothing, it's surprising that she uses so much controversy in an attempt to stay afloat, because the star could use her voice to end hate instead of starting it. Coming at number 10, we have Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle has only had one goal in her life, and that is to be famous. While the star was on a good start to reach her goals thanks to her role in the show Suits, it was clear she didn't have the patience to see where her career would take her, and she was looking for an easier way to make it into the spotlight. When Meghan started to date Prince Harry, her dreams to become a household name became true, and her name started to flood the internet. In the beginning, everyone loved her, but as time went on, the staff members of the royal family started to claim that Meghan was very rude to them. The headlines then started to change, and a long list of people would claim that Meghan wasn't exactly the person she was painted to be. Today, Meghan can't seem to escape the intense public backlash towards her every move, as well as the frosty reception she has also received from inside the royal family. Even after Meghan and Harry left the royal family to escape the public eye, she still tries to remain relevant by exposing the royal family. But everyone has had enough with her constant lies, and while she begs for privacy, she really just airs out all of her dirty laundry, which is just the confusing part. Number 9, Madonna. Madonna's rise to fame was definitely no joke in the 80s, as the girl was on something, and because of her success, she was able to hold the title Queen of Pop for decades. Despite her single Living for Love being pulled from Radio 1, her other hit songs like Vogue and Like a Virgin are still used in throwback playlists today. However, her career has been filled with controversy that just has many people wishing that she would leave the spotlight behind. Like the time she decided to flash her butt at the 2015 Grammy Awards. While Madonna thought it was a super trendy moment, fans started to call the star out for being a little behind on all the newest trends. Not only has Madonna tried to copy every move every younger pop star is doing to stay relevant, her tone-deaf tweets have also started to sink her stardom. Not to mention, anytime she performs with other celebrities, all she wants to do is make out with them. And she's tried so hard to stay young so she can relate to her younger fans, to the point all her plastic surgery procedures have fans pointing out that the old Madonna used to be beautiful and the new one has a similar resemblance to a boiled egg. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8, Chris Brown. Where do I even start when it comes to Chris Brown? Because it's a long list. Well, according to many people, Chris Brown was once widely considered both one of the most influential and successful R&B singers in history, which allowed the star to be dubbed as the king of R&B. Sure, his music is fire, I'll give him that, but once news broke out that Chris Brown got into a pretty heated altercation with his then partner Rihanna and messed up her face, his beats suddenly lost their sparkle because the world just couldn't condone violence. Somehow though, Chris still had the confidence to believe that this very incident wouldn't affect his popularity, which was honestly priceless. During an interview with Larry King back in 2009, Chris would even compare his relationship with Rihanna to William Shakespeare's tragedy Romeo and Juliet, when he said it was sort of like Romeo and Juliet story, like both sides not wanting us to kind of have contact, so we just got away. Or jump to today, the guy got mad because he lost a Grammy to someone he didn't even know. But realistically, no one even knew he dropped new music, and the Grammys just gave him a nomination because they felt bad about his non-existent career and didn't want to deal with the repercussions of not giving him a nomination. Number 7, Iggy Azalea. Iggy Azalea is a couple hit wonder Australian rapper and songwriter who peaked in early 2010 with catchy songs and flashy music videos. After the star pretty much went viral for her song Work, we all wanted to walk a mile in Louboutins, stick our 2 feet in red dirt while wearing school skirts. And don't even get me started on those sick Adidas pants in the music video, because I'm still hoping I stumble upon a pair in a thrift store. While it appeared that Iggy would follow the same path to stardom as fellow rapper Nicki Minaj, Iggy really just ended ended up dropping off the radar before she actually even truly made it. Iggy would then find herself being a victim of constant scrutiny for her subpar, on-the-spot rapping skills and accusations of cultural appropriation. Then after she released her debut album in 2014, she disappeared, and when she returned with In My Defense in 2019, no one even seemed to notice. In 2020, T.I. would even admit signing Iggy was his biggest mistake when he took to Twitter to say, "I'm still actively looking for another female rapper who can undo the blunder of Iggy Azalea. That is the tarnish of my legacy as far as being a music executive is concerned. To me, this is like when Michael Jordan went to play basketball." Number 6. Billy Ray Cyrus. Billy Ray Cyrus can owe a lot of his fame to his chart-topping debut song Achy Breaky Heart, which was a hit of the 90s after it became one of the most distinctive songs. And if it wasn't for his collaboration with his daughter Miley Cyrus on Disney's 4-season series Hannah Montana that introduced him to a younger generation, his music career probably wouldn't have extended into late 2000. Unfortunately, Miley's post-Disney antics distracted viewers from her father, and his attempt to reclaim the spotlight occurred again when he did a collaboration with Lil Nas X on the 2019 phenomenon Old Town Road, which was cool and it could have revamped his career if it wasn't overplayed on every single radio station every 5 minutes. Even today, he seemed to have gotten on his younger fans' bad side again after it was released that he was fighting with Miley after he started dating Fire Rose, who was actually one of the young girls Miley worked with on the set of Hannah Montana. Number 5. Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey's 1990 self-titled album granted her a quick access to Hollywood's A-list, and since her release of her hit holiday song All I Want for Christmas, when it plays on repeat every December, it either makes you love the holiday season or hate it. When Mariah first hit the entertainment scene, her performances and self-prescribed diva status were remarkable during this pop star era because all the celebrities were doing it. However, over time it just became boring, and today it's just plain tacky. Back in 2016, when Mariah tried to come back, she would then be caught lip-syncing at a New Year's Eve event, and the stunt then went on to secure her place as the first meme of 2017. Essentially then, her fans went on to scrutinize her vocals rather than praise her performance, as just before, she thought it was appropriate to insult Nicki Minaj's voice in a feud during American Idol, but then didn't even sing her own song. Today, Mariah's even tried to stay relevant by teaming up with younger stars such as Justin Bieber. I think it's safe to say that she should just leave the spotlight alone at this point. Number 4. Macklemore. While at one point Macklemore only had $20 in his pocket, today he has more than $20 after his global success of his song Thrift Shop went viral and made Macklemore's overall net worth about $25 million. However, it seems like many stars who make it into the industry, he was only able to become a one-hit wonder as he slowly disappeared from the scene after his song Thrift Shop hit the Billboard. However, that hasn't stopped him from trying to dominate the scene since. In 2013, Macklemore would release a follow-up hit, Can't Hold Us, featuring Ryan Lewis, but he hasn't been able to top his original album since. Maybe that's because all of the songs he has released haven't really lived up to the song we all loved, Thrift Shop. Once his collaboration with Lewis suddenly came to an end in 2017, sadly, so did his relevance. And at this point, he really should have just stuck to poppin' tags instead of making a futile comeback. But who knows, maybe in the future we can get another Thrift Shop song and we'll be able to pop some tags in the thrift store again with Macklemore. Number 3. John Travolta. At one point in time, John Travolta was a movie, musical, and blockbuster legend who captured the hearts of American audiences. Being a triple threat actor, as the man can clearly act, sing, and dance, it's clear that he has multiple talents, as he's even been seen piloting his own personal aircraft. However, unfortunately for the brilliant Pulp Fiction star, a clear beginning of his descent from the industry started to occur after he introduced Idina Menzel as Adele Dazeema at the 2014 Oscars. While getting names wrong isn't an uncommon thing, hey, we all do it. When John made a move to weirdly grasp Idina's chin in an apology at the next Oscar ceremony, or when the actor was also caught creepily photobombing an unamused Scarlett Johansson, which has caused his fans to recover from the Travolta fever they all were experiencing since they were all swooned from his role in the hit musical Grease. Number 2, Paris Hilton. Even to this day, Paris Hilton is only known because she is the face of famous for being famous. Being an heiress to Hilton hotels and an unintentional star of an X-rated film, One Night in Paris, her largest claim to fame emerged in the reality series The Simple Life, but it seems like after Kim Kardashian surpassed her after she went from being her assistant to one of the most famous people in Hollywood, Paris's rise to fame halted and her popularity has sort of fizzled out. Ironically, Paris has lived everything but a simple life since her birth, and she definitely didn't think her prevalence as a socialite would be quickly overtaken by the Kardashian-Jenner clan, and she really did underestimate Kris Jenner's power. For a while, Paris only had Yeezy's partnership to share a sliver of their spotlight, but now that Adidas has dropped out from their brand deal with Kanye to keep her image alive, Paris is just doing some really cringy commercials for Hilton hotels. And coming in number 1 today, we have Jamie Lynn Spears. It's clear that Britney Spears has her own issues to work out in regards to realizing where her fame has left her. However, Jamie Lynn Spears is truly the worst offender. It's clear that Britney was the one who actually achieved fame in the first place, and then Jamie Lynn did what the rest of her family did and they lived off of Britney's success. Yes, eventually Jamie Lynn did find success in Zoe 101, and she did have various record deals, but I dare you to go back and watch some of those Zoe 101 episodes now, and the acting is actually pretty bad to the point you wonder why we even liked the show so much as kids. Now that the world has realized how much Britney Spears' family wronged her during the last few decades, and the fact that one of Jamie Lynn's co-stars even called her out for bullying her on the set of Zoe 101, Jamie Lynn has landed back into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. While it seems like Jamie Lynn even hopes to capitalize off of some of her sister's trauma using a book to earn the favor of the masses, once more again, it seems like her fame is long gone, and I guess I'm the one who has to tell her that. However, it seems like 15 years after Zoe 101 ended, the cast is returning for a movie, but Nickelodeon should just honestly redo the whole show completely with a new cast or replace Jamie Lynn as Zoe, as her behavior to set members and her sister aren't good qualities for a good role model. And let's face it, the only reason the show was cancelled in the first place was because producers thought she couldn't be a good role model because she got pregnant at a young age.
But coming in at number 10, it's Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson is an actor who has been around for a long time. He is an incredibly talented actor, being in huge franchises like the Dark Knight trilogy and Star Wars, not to mention the many awards he has received for his acting. Despite all that though, he really shocked the world when he publicly admitted in an interview that he once wanted to indiscriminately end the lives of specifically black people after a female friend of his was ruthlessly attacked by a black person. This was about 40 years ago. Speaking to The Independent about how he got into one of his characters for a film, he said, quote, "I went up and down areas with a kosh, hoping I'd be approached by somebody. I'm ashamed to say that. And I did it for maybe a week, hoping some black something would come out of a pub and have a go at me about something, you know? So that I could, and I have to leave the rest up to your imagination of what he could do." But needless to say, many people were pretty furious. Had it been a lesser actor, this may have spelled out the end of his career, yet because Neeson admitted this action in a seemingly apologetic and remorseful way, he was actually hailed by some people as being courageous for admitting and seeking forgiveness. Some people, but not everyone. Despite many people having no sympathy for Neeson's actions, the actor seems to have simply walked away from the entire incident unscathed. It seems a mixture of his status as one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood and the fact that he confessed himself, apologized later, and sought forgiveness on his own has saved him from being cancelled. Number 9. Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller had been having a really good steady climb up the ladder of Hollywood, killing it in Perks of Being a Wallflower, getting a large role in the Fantastic Beasts series, and set to star in The Flash as the lead superhero. But then, Miller seemed to go off the deep end. While they have recently issued a public apology saying that they are suffering from complex mental health issues, there have been a string of incidents that will likely ultimately mean that we may not see much of the actor going forward. Starting in 2020 when they were in an altercation with a woman outside a bar in Iceland, we then move on to 2022. Miller was arrested and charged after they got agitated by people singing karaoke at a bar in Hawaii, which led to the actor yelling obscenities, getting physical, and lunging at a woman. Then, in that same month, also in Hawaii, Miller got a restraining order filed against them by a couple after Miller burst into their bedroom, threatening the male victim, and then took some of their belongings, including social security cards, a wallet, passport, license, and bank cards. The next month, in April, the actor was charged and arrested after they got upset and threw a chair at someone. And then we fast forward to June, when Miller is accused of having an upsetting relationship with a young woman named Dakota Iron Eyes. This was all followed that same month by another parent who sought legal action after Miller, quote, menaced their family and acted inappropriately. Then it went to another level when in August, Ezra was accused of burglary. As you can probably tell, the whole thing is a lot, even by Hollywood standards, but yet Ezra is still starring in one of the most anticipated superhero films of this year, although he probably won't be starring in anything going forward. Number 8. Kanye West. The thing about Kanye West is that despite his many offenses, of which there have been many, we all know that this isn't the way the guy has always been. And according to those who know the rapper and fashion designer, he is clearly dealing with some pretty prominent issues regarding his mental health. For the things he's said and done, he is almost like shadow cancelled, where people don't really support the artist himself or his newest works, but tons of people still bump his tunes and just find his newest offenses entertaining more than anything else. People especially love and still listen to his older stuff, and because of that, Kanye obviously can still go around doing what he does. If you have seen the artist in recent interviews or when he has spoken at fashion shows, or if you have listened to anything he said recently, I think it's safe to say that Kanye is sick, as in actually dealing with some serious issues. Of course, it doesn't excuse his actions, for which he really should be cancelled for, but what I think he really needs is help. Serious professional help, which is probably true for Ezra Miller too, given the sheer amount of things he's done. Number 7. Ellen. The star talk show host and comedian Ellen DeGeneres was once one of the most beloved celebrities around. Her quirky style, her outspoken political views, and her friendly demeanor often went down well with mostly everyone. Her show was built on her kindness, and the endless stream of A-list entertainers she always had on it also showed how well liked she was in Hollywood. But a bit more recently, the tune has begun to change. According to the complaints, Ellen's management team was often demanding, domineering, and created a toxic work environment, and some were even accused of racism, bullying, and physical mistreatment. The complaints, though, later spilled over to Ellen herself. But what has also come to light is the way she's treated other celebs while literally being filmed on the show. For example, pressuring a pregnant Mariah Carey into revealing that she was pregnant when she wasn't ready to do so by pressuring her to drink champagne. Or when she made Taylor Swift seemingly have a meltdown as she made fun of the amount of Hollywood men who Swift has had relationships with, and then made her go through male celebrities saying whether she has or has not had some kind of interaction with them. While such accusations would usually be enough for other celebrities to be cancelled immediately, Ellen addressed the problems, issued apologies to disgruntled staff, and was relatively unfazed. Sure, her show did eventually come to an end after an epic run, but that wasn't because she was cancelled, it's because she ended the show. Number 6. Jared Leto. Ever since all the way back in 2005, Jared Leto has been facing serious allegations of extremely inappropriate and honestly kinda sick behavior against women of various ages. It's the very reason that DCU director James Gunn has reportedly refused to allow Leto back to reprise his role as the Joker in the franchise going forward. But despite the allegations, which have been coming up for a long time now, he has never seemed to take any kind of hit. He has never faced charges, he has never been outed during the Me Too movement, he hasn't ever been cancelled, and in fact, a lot of people seem to really like this actor. Jared Leto continues to enjoy huge popularity among his fans and even those who are just casual moviegoers. Most other actors would never survive accusations like the ones he has received, but Leto seems to just keep on walking along as if nothing happened and no one bats an eye. Number 5. Gina Carano. Now, I don't believe that having a political opinion that isn't the majority should have you cancelled. That's on the side of ridiculous. It stands against free speech and it's pretty undemocratic. That being said though, comparing the division between Republicans and Democrats to World War II Europe and the atrocities that happened there is just downright stupid, and you are bound to receive backlash. Gina Carano, the former MMA fighter turned Mandalorian star, enraged some fans with a series of politically charged social media posts, including the one I just mentioned in February 2021. Removing the problematic words that would get this video demonetized, ties. Her Instagram post read, quote, "Most people today don't realize that to get to the point where soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views?" Answer to that question is, it's very different, Gina. But she didn't back down, and it only got worse when she said on Twitter that her preferred pronouns are beep bop boop, which she defended by saying that she was, quote, "exposing the bullying mentality of the mob that has taken over the voices of many genuine causes." And she decided to do that by openly mocking the LGBTQ+ community. Not too much later, the hashtag Fire Gina Carano began trending on Twitter, and Disney severed ties with the actress. Her management company, United Talent Agency, also dropped her, but yet Carano turned to her pals on the right and worked on Terror on the Prairie, produced by the Daily Wire, a conservative media company. So she's not fully cancelled, but do you think she should be? That's the real question. Number 4, Nick Cannon. Back in 2020, a podcast recording featuring actor, show host, and celebrity father of like 30 children, Nick Cannon, making several comments that many deemed incredibly insensitive, but specifically anti-Semitic. Cannon also discussed offensive conspiracy theories that focused on Jewish people specifically as well. Now, when news of these recordings spread and the anger of the people continued to grow, Cannon was still allowed to continue his work on The Masked Singer, but his longtime producing partner, Viacom CBS, ended their relationship with the actor, who was hosting his incredibly popular Wild 'N Out under the production company. This meant the star could no longer host Wild 'N Out. Now, after the scandal broke, Cannon did publicly apologize, and he even met with rabbis and gave money to a Jewish organization. And likely because of that, in 2021, Viacom CBS responded to his efforts by reinstating him as the host of Wild 'N Out. I personally think he just needs to stop producing so many damn children, but do you think his actions deserve greater repercussions? Number 3, Chris Brown. I'm actually surprised by how popular the R&B star Chris Brown still is. As most people know, the singer faced extreme scrutiny after multiple reports confirmed that he had a brutal physical altercation with his former partner and fellow musician, Rihanna. Most of us have seen the pictures of Rihanna's face after the fact. He even pled guilty to the incident and was required to perform community service. Now sure, Brown expressed remorse for his actions towards Rihanna, but then he returned to releasing songs and albums with actual success. The worst part is that his success stories were also reported alongside articles that he had even more similar experiences with other women who also publicly outed him. Despite the controversy though, Brown won an award for male R&B artist at the AMAs in 2022, which was met with some boos, but he walked away fairly unscathed and continues to go on as if nothing ever happened. Number 2, Louis C.K. Still a success in his own bubble for a good chunk of time, Louis C.K. was among the biggest names in comedy, but that changed when a group of female comics revealed his actions performed in the bedroom without their consent. Now, Louis even admitted to his actions following the publication of an investigative story in the New York Times in 2017. A detailed statement on what he did and an apology to the women he did it to was released, and the scandal led to the scrapping of his movie I Love You Daddy, a TV deal with FX, and a large number of pre-booked performances. It cost the comic about $35 million in earnings, and his management and publicists dropped him. But yet, Louis C.K. has continued touring and playing venues including Madison Square Garden to fans who really just couldn't care less. Now, Louis distributes his own material, so he's continued to have comedy specials which can be bought directly from his website, and he even purchased a commercial spot during an episode of SNL. He also won the 2022 Best Comedy Album Grammy for Sincerely Louis C.K., but still he did take a hit, and he isn't likely to be making a comeback to what he once had. Do you think that's good enough punishment, or should the repercussions for his actions be more severe as well? And finally, in at number 1 is Will Smith. Now listen, I think just like Ezra Miller and Kanye West, acting legend Will Smith is having a tough go in his personal life that is kind of bleeding out into the public. Will Smith has been one of my favorite actors for years, but none of that makes it okay to storm a stage and get physical with a performer, whether they make fun of your wife's alopecia or not. But that's exactly what he did at the 2022 Oscars to comedian Chris Rock, who compared Jada Pinkett Smith to G.I. Jane as a joke without knowing that she did suffer from the hair loss. Smith then sat back down and yelled the infamous "keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," as we all know. Now, Judd Apatow, Jim Carrey, Amy Schumer, Wanda Sykes, and Zoe Kravitz, plus others, all publicly spoke out against the actor's actions, though others came to his defense, including Tiffany Haddish, Denzel Washington, and Jamila Jamil. Now, Sony is said to have put Bad Boys 4 on hold, and Netflix has backburnered Fast and Loose, and CAA, his agency, also reportedly discussed dropping Smith as a client, but ultimately they did not. But for this one, it seems that Smith felt almost instant regret, as evident in his Oscar acceptance speech later on in the awards show. He also ended up quitting the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, and the Academy then banned him from the ceremony for 10 years. It remains to be seen what will happen with his career going forward and the boatload of projects he is attached to. Do you think he should come back from this one, or do you think that he should kind of just stay off in the dark?
Number 10, Liam Payne. The 29-year-old went on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast and became the butt of every joke on the internet for weeks later. Not only did Liam come off as entitled, but fans were shocked when he claimed that his 27 debut solo track, Strip That Down, outperformed everyone else. He said, "First song, 1 billion streams. I think it outsold everybody within the band. And I was the last to go solo and I never expected that." In fact, the whole interview came off as a bit of a humble brag, but fans totally lost it when he said, "I think it was well known within the band that I don't like taking crap. At a certain point I made that very obvious. There was one moment where there was an argument backstage and one member in particular threw me up a wall. So I said to him, if you don't remove those hands, there's a high likelihood you'll never use them again." Yeah, I don't know where he got that line from, but it sounds like he stole it from Riverdale. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9, Christina Aguilera. The pop star reportedly got into a fight with Mickey Mouse in 2014. According to TMZ, Christina was celebrating her 34th birthday at Disney California Adventure and wanted to have a photo session with Mickey Mouse. But the actor was due to go on a break, and you can imagine how difficult it would be for someone to walk around in a giant Mickey Mouse costume all day. But Christina wasn't having it, and she pretty much became a Karen. She flew into a rage and called the mouse an a-hole and said, "Do you know who I am?" Not only that, but in 2008, when she was accused of stealing Lady Gaga's look for her album Bionic, she trash-talked her in the LA Times, saying, "You know, that's funny that you mentioned that. This person was just brought to my attention not too long ago. I'm not quite sure who this person is, to be honest. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I just wasn't sure. I really don't spend any time on the internet." Talk about rude. Number 8, Quentin Tarantino. When it comes to reviewing his own movies, the director is quite clearly a fan of himself. In 2015, he told Vulture, "This might come across as egotistical, but I really don't feel in competition with anyone anymore." Tarantino also admitted that there's a little part of me that thinks everything is influenced by me, but that's just my own megalomania. But he also doesn't take criticism very well at all. Most people remember the car crash interview with Krishnan Guru Murthy in 2013, where he ended up verbally berating the British journalist for suggesting that there's a link between violence on screen and in real life. Not to mention when Django Unchained received criticism from people like Spike Lee, who described the film as disrespectful to his ancestors, Tarantino responded in a New York Times interview by saying, "When the black critics came out with savage think pieces about Django, I couldn't have cared less." But some might argue that he has a certain responsibility as a filmmaker to not just blatantly ignore people that had real issues with his movie. Number 7, Vanessa Hudgens. The High School Musical star made some pretty controversial comments, complaining about having to quarantine during the start of the pandemic. During an Instagram live, Vanessa said, "Yeah, till July sounds like a bunch of BS. I'm sorry. It's a virus. I get it. I respect it. But at the same time, like, even if everybody gets it, yeah, people are gonna die, which is terrible, but like, inevitable?" Saying this in a seemingly smug way created a massive backlash, considering how many people in her age group weren't listening to health officials about the quarantine measures, which were just starting to take place at the time. But naturally, her tone-deaf comments got her slammed across social media, with Olivia Wilde tweeting, "In 1,000 years they'll dig up our society and they'll find this precious digital moment and be like, okay, so this is why they mysteriously disappeared from the earth." Vanessa, of course, tried to apologize and play the whole thing off as a misunderstanding, but it will forever go down as one of her most ignorant moments. Number 6, Catherine Zeta-Jones. One of the most most shocking stories about the actress came from way back in 1998, when an 8-year-old girl was attending a special screening of The Mask of Zorro. She went up to Catherine to ask her for some advice on acting, but Catherine allegedly just looked her up and down and said sarcastically, "You're pretty enough, I suppose," before turning back to her conversation. Not to mention what she said in 2018, when she went on a rant about being privileged. She said, "I'm sick of being humble, I really am. So sorry I'm rich, so sorry I'm married to a movie star, so sorry I'm not so bad looking." In fact, according to Page 6, the actress regularly sings her own praises and brags about how much money she has compared to other people. In 2003, she was quoted saying, "$1 million isn't a lot of money for people like us." I mean, if that wasn't enough bragging, she also said, "Some people collect art or lots of money. We collect houses because if we have to have something to look at, we prefer the view." Interesting. Number 5. Tom Cruise. The actor's arrogance reached new heights when he decided to go after Brooke Shields in the worst way possible. He decided to publicly shame her for her moment of vulnerability when she admitted that she used antidepressants to help with her postpartum depression. To which Tom said, "When someone says medication has helped them, it is to cope. It didn't cure anything. There is no science. There is nothing that can cure them whatsoever." And if that wasn't condescending enough for you, he added, "I care about Brooke Shields because I think she's an incredibly talented woman, but look at where her career has gone." But Tom came under even more scrutiny when he chose to double down on his comments. He told Matt Lauer on the Today Show that there is no such thing as a chemical imbalance, and the two of them proceeded to get into a heated discussion about taking medication. Tom insisted that the only way to cure depression was vitamins and exercise. I mean, imagine thinking that you know better than a doctor. Number 4. Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway has always been difficult to work with. She's also very demanding when she's off set, and reportedly shrieks at service industry employees and thinks her plane tickets should always be upgraded automatically. A flight attendant once claimed Dunaway was screaming at everyone and saying, "Don't you know who I am?" In fact, she was fired from the Broadway production of Tea at 5 because of bizarre behavior which included hurling objects at crew members and slapping her wig fitting team, and throwing a salad on the floor and insisting that no one wear white to rehearsal because it's distracting. According to an insider, Dunaway was so demonic on the set of Mummy Dearest that no one dared approach her for fear of being verbally attacked. In 2019, she was also sued by her former personal assistant, who claimed that she regularly and relentlessly subjected him to demeaning tirades and used his sexual orientation as a gay man against him. So it seems like she's always had trouble with showing basic human kindness. Number 3. James Cameron. In 2009, the director was caught on camera at LAX telling a fan to get out of his face. He said, "I don't owe you an effing signature, just get out of my effing personal space," which some people claimed was extremely arrogant. But to be fair, no one is in a good mood when they're at the airport. But that same year, Josh Brolin claimed that he was verbally attacked by him, all because he chose to turn down a role in the Avatar sequel. He told Esquire, "James Cameron's effing calling me this name and that name, whatever." The director was also surprised that his comments about Wonder Woman proved to be so controversial. He criticized Gal Gadot's appearance and said that it was a step backwards for women. He said, "I mean, Gal Gadot was Miss Israel, and she was wearing a kind of bustier costume that was very form-fitting. To me, that's not breaking ground. I'm not saying I didn't like the movie, but to me, it's a step backwards." Although Cameron caught a lot of heat for those comments, he still stands by them today. Number 2. Shannon Doherty. In his 2014 book Jason Priestley, a Memoir, Shannon's 90210 co-star claimed that she was a nightmare to work with, and that her arrogance was beyond the pale during a trip to New York. Shannon apparently had issues with the car that picked her up and dropped her off at the airport. She said, "Really? A town car? You send a town car to take me to the airport, not a limo?" Jason claimed that Shannon proceeded to complain the whole trip about everything from the food on board to the temperature in the cabin. Not only that, but another one of her co-stars, Jenny Garth, came out saying that she was so fed up with Shannon's bad attitude one day that she lost her cool and tried to fight her, yelling, "Come on, we're taking this outside." In fact, Shannon's self-entitlement might have gotten her kicked off the hit TV show, as producer and writer Larry Mullen told Entertainment Weekly that she didn't even bother to ask permission before getting a massive haircut, which which completely ruined the continuity of the season 4 finale. And coming in at number 1, Noel Gallagher. The English singer and songwriter who is a member of the band Oasis has a long history of questioning other artists' musical abilities. But Noel Gallagher made a whole lot of enemies when he decided to trash Harry Styles. In fact, he hated Harry even when he was in One Direction, and decided to go on record calling the band members something that rhymes with rocksuckers, and said that they would all be in rehab by the time they're 30. Not only that, but he told the Daily Star that the X Factor as an institution has nothing to do with music whatsoever, and that performers and bands that came from the show don't work as hard as real musicians. Quote, "You are not telling me that Harry Styles is currently in a room somewhere writing a song with any joy. He'll be surrounded by a lot of girls. I can assure you he's not got an acoustic guitar out trying to write a middle 8 for something." Noel also claimed that his cat could have written Harry's debut single Sign of the Times in about 10 minutes. The singer also trashed Little Mix and said that they were not in the same league as his own band, but clearly he didn't take into account the size of a fan base either. Number 10, Will Smith. Most people know about the infamous slap at this year's Oscars, but Will Smith's arrogant behavior actually dates back a few decades. Just ask Janet Hubert. She played Aunt Viv on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air alongside Will Smith in the 90s sitcom. When Hubert left the show in 1993, she said that it was due to creative differences, but eventually revealed that she practically got bullied off the show by Smith, who was a rising star at the time. In fact, he went on the record publicly dissing his former co-star several times, and during one radio interview he said, quote, "I can straight up say that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show." As a result, Janet was somewhat shut out of the industry and labeled as hard to work with. When asked if Smith had matured since those comments, she told TMZ that he is still an egomaniac and has not grown up. It wasn't until the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion special in 2020 that Smith even acknowledged that he made life hell for the actress during their 3rd season. Hubert opened up about how those rumors had cost her everything, including her career and reputation. Quote, "Calling a black woman difficult is Hollywood's kiss of death." Number 9, Miles Teller. While being interviewed for Esquire in 2015, he was quoted saying, "I was thinking about how I probably think I'm better looking than the public thinks I am. Maybe it's because I came from a small town, but I always did well for myself." A lot of people seem to think that he was implying that girls from small towns have lower standards, or that there simply aren't as many good-looking people in small towns. Either way, it was a bit of a strange remark. Teller has also had no issue insulting John Cusack by saying, "I guess we look alike. We did some similar movies. He wasn't traditionally good looking, he was offbeat and quirky but confident. I get it, but I don't want his career." That last comment seemed a little bit unnecessary, but okay. Not only that, but Teller tried to distance himself from his fellow actors. Quote, "I feel like a lot of actors of my generation are not proper actors. I want to break out of that whole group of actors in their early 20s and really start to put stuff down that lets you know I take this seriously." It's only been a few years since he landed his first major role, but the actor has already developed something of a reputation in the industry. He admitted to only taking his role in the movie Divergent for business reasons, and that the blockbuster left him feeling dead inside. Clearly, Miles Teller is just a little too comfortable throwing his own movies under the bus after he receives the check. Number 8, Lindsay Lohan. The actress was exposed for her extremely obnoxious attitude by writer Jacqueline D. Powers, who had originally planned on shadowing the then 25-year-old, but the writer for Plum Miami saw firsthand what the actress was like over a weekend and proceeded to write an article which painted Lindsay as demanding and a drunken diva who traveled with a revolving pack of pseudo-chaperones. She revealed that Lohan had a full-on meltdown over a misplaced pair of heels and mentioned the time that she shouted at a parking lot attendant saying, "Move that cone, I'm Lindsay Lohan." According to the journalist, this incident foreshadowed the arrogance and demanding personality she exhibited as her sweet girl facade started slipping. Jacqueline claimed that Lindsay was constantly looking for drama, and the actress allegedly told her that she was indignant that she was not considered for the movie Black Swan because she took ballet classes until she was 19. Add all of this to the incident in 2018 when the actress was recorded speaking to what looked like a homeless family sitting on the street and tried to convince them to give her their children so that she could take them to a hotel. When they did not respond to the offer, she attempted to reach for one of the kids and take them with her by force. Number 7, James Charles. The internet cannot forget when YouTube makeup guru Tati Westbrook uploaded a viral video called Bye Sister, where she accused James Charles of using his his fame to manipulate someone's sexuality. Tati mentioned one incident in particular, which occurred during her birthday party where James had allegedly tried to flirt with the waiter named Sam and used the excuse "I'm a celebrity" when Tati warned him that Sam was actually straight. The level of entitlement there is ridiculous. Since then, a wave of allegations have come out accusing the YouTuber of sending explicit messages to minors, specifically nude photographs, and pressuring them into inappropriate conversations on Snapchat. In April of 2021, Charles did address the allegations in a YouTube video titled "Holding Myself Accountable," but that only served to dig him deeper into the hole as he admitted to the fact that he had sent those messages to the minors. What's good is that he received quite a lot of backlash for the scandal, as Morphe, a makeup company that Charles had worked with since 2016, announced on Twitter that they had severed ties from the influencer. So in the end, his entitlement really caught up with him. Number 6. Amber Heard. You could argue that the Aquaman actress has already been humbled big time after losing the highly publicized defamation trial brought against her by Johnny Depp. But as followers of the case were glued to their screens for the 6 weeks that the trial was live streamed, viewers were subjected to various stories of her arrogance and entitlement. In fact, when Depp's sound engineer Keenan Wyatt appeared in court, and during his testimony, he testified about a time that he joined the former couple on a private jet flight from Boston to Los Angeles in May of 2014. It was then that he noticed that the actress was giving her ex-husband the cold shoulder, and at one point he tried to comfort her by telling her that Depp cares about her, which resulted in Heard yelling at him, saying "How dare you talk to me?" and screaming at him to get away from her. It was also revealed during a trial that Heard bullied her ex-assistant Kate James, refusing to pay her a living wage. And according to James, one of her duties as Heard's assistant was collecting 2 copies of any magazine that featured Amber on the cover and storing them in a garage. So it's likely that the actress was extremely self-obsessed among other things. Number 5. Ezra Miller. The actor has grown increasingly entitled over the years ever since landing pivotal roles in huge movies like Fantastic Beasts and The Flash. But it's surprising that Ezra Miller's crazy behavior has gone unchecked for so long. For instance, in 2020, they were caught on video choking a woman outside a bar in Iceland. The incident took place after Miller was approached by a group of eager young fans who were just excited to have spotted the actor. But the interaction escalated and Miller was heard asking the woman, "Oh, you wanna fight? That's what you wanna do?" She was clearly confused and thought that Miller was just joking until they grabbed her by the throat and violently threw her to the ground. They were also involved in a string of arrests in Hawaii, and in one incident, officials say that Miller became irate after being asked to leave a gathering at a bar and threw a chair which struck a 26-year-old woman on the head, injuring her very badly. Not only that, but the 29-year-old has also been accused by 2 musicians of stealing their music and trying to pass it off as their own without giving them credit. Music producer Oliver Ignatius and rapper Gais Guevara claim the actor stole the music they worked on and posted it to social media without credits. Number 4. Chrissy Teigen. The 35-year-old cookbook author faced heavy criticism recently following reports of cyberbullying and extremely arrogant behavior, even for a Hollywood celebrity. So many celebrities came forward to accuse Teigen, including Lindsay Lohan, Farrah Abraham, and Project Runway star Michael Costello, of being extremely cruel online. It was really bad. In fact, the model had to apologize for telling reality star Courtney Stodden to take her own life in 2011, and she only backpedaled on her comments when she was called out for them. When speaking about the incident, Teigen admitted that she was, quote, being an insecure, attention-seeking troll. But she has also bullied little children. When talking about a 9-year-old in 2013, she tweeted, quote, "Is it okay to call a small child cocky?" Not only that, but a clip of the model went viral when she was hosting the Billboard Music Awards in 2015, and she was making her way to the stage when a woman tripped over her gown and fell. Instead of stopping to help the woman up or even check to see if she was okay, she just kept strutting her stuff. If anyone needs to be humbled, it's definitely Chrissy Teigen. Number 3. DaBaby. Another celebrity that's extremely entitled is DaBaby. The 30-year-old rapper was accused of making homophobic remarks at a music festival concert in Miami last year. DaBaby told the crowd that if you didn't show up with any STIs, quote, "that'll make you die in 2 to 3 weeks, then put a cell phone light in the air." He was actually referencing the particular STI that most commonly affects the queer community, much to everyone's outrage. In fact, he shouted many other questionable things at the crowd, mainly trying to hype them up with disparaging comments about gay men. Of course, his behavior quickly drew massive criticism, and his attempt to clarify his views didn't really help his case at all. tour. He claimed that his intentions were to uplift gay fans who are disease-free because they are not, quote, nasty junkies. Naturally, he got ripped into by the LGBTQ+ community, Madonna, Elton John, and his collaborator Dua Lipa. He was booted from the 2022 Lollapalooza tour and had a concert in Atlanta called off, as well as the fashion brand Boohoo Man bolting on a deal with him, and radio stations putting his music into time out. Number 2, Bradley Cooper. Few people would believe that the Hangover star is just another obnoxious Hollywood type, but according to his ex-wife's autobiography, Jennifer Esposito believed that he was arrogant and a master manipulator. In the wake of their 5-month marriage breakdown, she claimed that the actor actually had a mean, cold side that he attempted to keep hidden from the public, which he could turn on and off like a switch. The autobiography called Jennifer's Way doesn't mention Bradley by name, but the time frame that she mentions fits with the time that she was with the Hollywood star. The 49-year-old actress described being asked out by the actor and ignoring an entire marching band squad of red flags because she didn't think the romance would pan out. But sure enough, they got married in 2007, and according to Jennifer, their relationship quickly became unhealthy and she felt very alone. Meanwhile, rumors were circulating within the industry that Bradley would often exhibit diva behavior, which only intensified when the Brazilian newspaper Glamorama claimed that he intentionally ignored his fans while filming The Hangover 3, and was also late to several press conferences and rude when it came to answering questions from reporters. And coming in at number 1, P. Diddy. Although Sean P. Diddy Combs seems to be in the public eye a little less over the years, there was a long span of time when he was seemingly everywhere, from the music scene to television and the fashion world. You don't have to dig too deep online to unearth some of the most cockiest things that the rapper has ever said. For instance, when talking about his love life, he was extremely overconfident. Quote, "Being an international rap superstar, sex is one of the easiest things to get, so there is a point where you get tired of it." Not only that, but at the launch of his clothing line, he was quoted telling reporters, "I am fashion." And let's not forget about the infamous Playboy interview that he did. Quote, "If I'm not inspiring you at this point, you're a lost hope. I dare you to write down all of my achievements. It will be overwhelming. Who else has conquered television? Who else has conquered fashion?" Honestly, it's hard to believe these statements are even real, but it does sound very similar to things Kanye has said over the years. Diddy also received a lot of backlash after hosting this year's Billboard Awards, with many people criticizing the rapper for using the platform to blatantly promote all things related to him and not the show. Talk about ego. Number 10, Jay-Z. Yes, it's true that he's a famous rapper with a stellar career that made millions and millions of dollars, and the fact that he's married to Beyonce is definitely something to brag about. With all that considered, anyone would be cocky, but Jay-Z takes it to a whole other level. In fact, his arrogance was at an all-time high in 2013, when he was heavily criticized by social activist Harry Belafonte and other prominent figures in the black community for what they believe is a lack of social responsibility. He responded in literally the worst way possible, quote, "I'm offended by that because, first of all, and this is gonna sound arrogant, but my presence is charity, just who I am, just like Obama's is." He went on to say that Obama provides hope, whether he does anything. The hope that he provides for a nation and outside of America is enough. So basically, he says that he's doing the same thing just by being famous. Not only that, but in 2012, Jay-Z dissed Robert De Niro, who was apparently a big fan of his music. The actor reportedly called Jay-Z 6 times to work with him and received a grand total of 0 calls back. De Niro then verbally confronted Jay-Z about the situation and said, "It doesn't matter who you are, if someone calls you 6 times, you call them back. It doesn't matter who you are. That is just rude." Number 9, Gwyneth Paltrow. She's one of those celebrities that really need to be humbled. Even before trying to be some kind of lifestyle guru, she made it clear a long time ago just how out of touch she is with regular people. She once made an entire population of working mothers angry when she said, quote, "It's much harder for me. I think to have a regular job and to be a mom is not as, of course there are challenges, but it's not like being on set." Not only that, but in 2009, she was quoted saying, "I am who I am. I can't pretend to be somebody who makes $25,000 a year." Even earlier in 2006, she trash-talked Reese Witherspoon's career. Quote, "Why is she doing these stupid romantic comedies? But of course it's for money and status." And let's not forget all the drama with the Goop Lab, which is just another way for Paltrow to push her so-called healthy lifestyle onto regular people, where she posts must-have outfits that cost hundreds if not thousands of dollars and tries to frame it as a necessity. Her website was also heavily criticized for promoting questionable things like sprays and crystals that are meant to prevent mental manipulation by people, not to mention potentially dangerous supplements that were marketed to pregnant women. So it's no surprise that she earned the top spot in Star's 2013 Most Hated Celebrity list. Number 8. Jennifer Lopez. JLo's reputation as a diva precedes her, and over the years it's become blaringly obvious that she is not at all down to earth. She didn't hold back when it came to her opinion on sharing the stage with Shakira at the 2020 Super Bowl halftime show. In her newly released documentary called Halftime, she labeled it as the worst idea in the world. Quote, "If it was going to be a double headliner, they should have given us 20 minutes. That's what they should have effing done." Basically, it turns out that Jennifer was frustrated with the NFL for booking 2 headliners and making them share the stage at the same time. She's also notorious for refusing to talk to certain people, like in 2012 when she got a hotel maid fired for asking for her signature, or when she was on a commercial airline and a flight attendant asked JLo what she wanted to drink, and rather than telling the attendant, she turned to her assistant to have them relay the drink order. Let's also mention the infamous Movie Line interview in 1998, when she basically decided to trash all the other celebrities that were big at the time and try to trivialize their career. When asked about Madonna, she said, quote, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do. So I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, and I'm like, no, don't spit on my craft." Number 7. Justin Bieber. In the beginning of his career as a young teen, Bieber seemed to be extremely humble and kind, but as his fame grew, so did his attitude and lack of human decency. He took his apparent belief that he is a one-of-a-kind way beyond his position in the music industry, like when Bieber said that he hoped Anne Frank would have been a believer. The once teenage heartthrob shocked the internet in 2013 when he was in Amsterdam visiting the hiding place of the young victim, which has since been turned into a museum. The Canadian pop star opened himself up to ridicule and online anger when he wrote in the Anne Frank House guest book that it was truly inspiring to be able to come here and that Anne was a great girl. Hopefully she would have been a believer. The comments were insensitive at best, as it sounded like he believed Anne Frank would have been his devoted fan. Not only that, but he's also thought of himself above the law on several occasions and is known for his atrocious behavior in public. He's been in trouble with the cops for graffiti spraying, egg throwing, smoking, and causing disturbances to his neighbors, just to name a few. In a 2013 Billboard interview, Bieber said, quote, "Don't say I'm not talented. If you haven't noticed, I wasn't made, I was found." Yeah, okay. Number 6. Adam Levine. There is no denying Adam Levine's sex symbol status, but for that exact same reason he has also been labeled a bit too cocky for his own good. In fact, just last year, a TikTok went viral of Adam going off on a fan for coming on stage. The incident happened during a Maroon 5 performance when he was belting out the band's 2004 hit Sunday Morning, and an overly eager fan suddenly rushed to the stage and reached for him. The video shows that security quickly grabbed the woman and pulled her away from Adam, who was then seen cursing, shuddering, and shaking off the experience before getting back into the music. Many were offended by his visceral reaction, suggesting that he should humble himself, and remember, the band is only successful because of its fans. But back in a 2014 interview with GQ magazine, the singer addressed his reputation as a bit of an egomaniac. Quote, "I'm not arrogant, I'm cocky. It's different. Cocky is playful." Others would certainly beg to differ. But if you want to know what was really obnoxious, let's look at his tone-deaf comments about infidelity in 2009, when he said, "I have cheated, and you know what? There is nothing worse than the feeling of doing it." So apparently it's not hard for the people that are getting cheated on, only the people that are doing the cheating. Number 5. Kim Kardashian. The Keeping Up with the Kardashian star was never really one to be humble. In fact, she's known to be obnoxious and what some would call everything that's wrong with celebrity culture these days. She is totally obsessed with her appearance, and fans have seen her complain about not being skinny enough or fashionable enough for years on her show. So no one was really surprised when in 2015 she published a book containing only her selfies, which certainly speaks to how confident she is that people would want to buy 1,000 photos of her face. Or in 2011 when Old Navy released a series of ads featuring a brunette woman that looked ever so slightly similar to Kim, so she sued the company for millions of dollars. She believed that they capitalized on her look and caused serious damage to her career, which caused her to lose somewhere in the range of $15 to $20 million. Not to mention when she tried to break into the music industry in 2011 with her one and only song that was called Jam Turn It Up. Let's just say that it was a flop, but the music video was comedy gold. It's really no wonder that she's known as the most conceited of the Kardashians. Number 4. Kanye West. There are approximately over 100,000 ridiculous Kanye West quotes on why he thinks that he's so great. So much so that these days he's more known for his erratic behavior and strange comments rather than for his music and fashion endeavors. Like at the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards, when he infamously interrupted Taylor Swift's acceptance speech for Best Female Video. Kanye jumped on stage and took over the mic, declaring that Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. And it wasn't just a heat of the moment thing, he seemed to be genuinely okay with interrupting another person's acceptance speech because a whole decade later, he told Nick Cannon, quote, "If God didn't want me to run up on stage and say, Beyonce had the best video, he wouldn't have sat me in the front row." Apart from that, one of the cockiest things he's ever said was, quote, "For me, I am a creative genius. There's no other way to word it." He's also compared himself to Shakespeare, Andy Warhol, and Tupac. In fact, he once said, "I'm my own favorite rapper," and that his greatest pain in life is that he will never be able to see himself perform live. Wow. Number 3. Russell Crowe. The actor has long been the poster boy for arrogant Hollywood types, blokey swearing, and random acts of PG violence. There were rumors that he threatened any media platform that published stories about him having a fling with Courtney Love, and some say that he chose to have a bodyguard accompany him into public toilets to ensure that no one else enters while he was there. But one of the wildest displays of his arrogance was in 2002, when he intimidated and attacked the producer of the BAFTA Awards for cutting his speech short and preventing him from reciting poetry to the world. Around this time, Crowe appeared to be maxing out on his obnoxious troublemaking, and in 2004 he beat up his own bodyguard because he insinuated that the actor had had enough to drink. Then only a year later, he was charged with criminal possession of a weapon for allegedly throwing a phone that cut a hotel clerk's eye, all because he was unable to get connected with his wife. The Australian actor is also notoriously difficult to work with and has been described as having a legendarily bad temper, regularly shouting at his scriptwriters, yelling at them on phone calls while discussing the story. In fact, while filming Gladiator, Crowe allegedly threatened a seasoned producer and said that he would kill him with his bare hands because he is annoying the hell out of him. Number 2. Lea Michele. She has recently made headlines for replacing fellow actress Beanie Feldstein in the Broadway production of Funny Girl, and fans are fuming. They have good reason to be upset because Lea Michele is the complete opposite of humble. In fact, the actress is still being plagued by multiple allegations of racism and bullying that surfaced in June of 2020. According to actors that worked with her on the set of Glee, she was an extremely spoiled and hateful person. While only rumors circulated about her demeanor before, everything changed when the actress tweeted her support for Black Lives Matter, and her former co-star Samantha Ware called her out on her hypocrisy. After Samantha spoke out, dozens of co-stars, film crew, and staff flooded social media with stories about the diva. In fact, one Twitter user shared an instance when she worked with Michelle and the late Corey Monteith. Quote, "I've been telling people this for years. I worked with her once. She literally would only speak to me through her assistant, just not addressing my presence. She was 2 feet away. Corey was kind and incredibly lovely to work with." So it's safe to say that her real-life personality matched up with her arrogant on-screen persona as Rachel Berry. And number 1, Shia LaBeouf. Never a stranger to acting out bad behavior or questionable choices, Shia LaBeouf's antics have given him a reputation for being one of the most obnoxious actors that Hollywood has ever produced. One perfect example of this was when the Transformers actor tried his hand at directing and came out with his very own short film called Howard Cantor, which was shown at Cannes in May 2012 and received significant acclaim and praise from critics everywhere. But what people didn't realize is that he literally stole the whole script and tried to claim it off as his own. The script was published online in late 2013, and comic fans noticed that the story was copied pretty much word for word from a book by Daniel Close, without credit, consent, or even compensation. To make matters worse, when confronted about it, Shia apologized and then later revealed to have plagiarized all of his apologies from other people. Only a few weeks later, as a publicity stunt to gain attention, he declared that he was retiring from his persona as a celebrity and started appearing in public wearing a paper bag on his head with the words "I am not famous anymore" written on it. If any celebrity would benefit from being humbled, it's definitely Shia LaBeouf.